This week on Salvage Squad, we're on a farm in Northamptonshire. We've got what you'd expect on a farm. Got a combine harvester, a tractor, but over in another shed we've got a very rare fire engine owned by local fireman Colin Timberlake.
You've probably never seen another one of these at all.
And no, the squad haven't seen a fire engine quite like this. But at least Axel, the squad's ex-fireman, can give it a knowledgeable once-over.
Got ladders, it's got a pump, it's got a big light. What more could you possibly want?
A bell. Fireman. Oh, yes! We're away!
Hello?
Trumpton, isn't it?
I know, it is a little bit, isn't it? What's with the gas mask?
That's for you, mate.
I thought it was for you to put on so it give you a chance to pull. Let's leave these reprobates for a minute.
Okay.
Come and have a chat with me over here. What are you doing with a fire engine in a shed in the middle of nowhere?
Very interesting question. I just like old vehicles, Lee.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been in the fire service for 31 years. I'm an anorak.
In a fleece.
In a fleece.
I mean, what type of fire engine is it?
It's
It don't
a
even look
Bedford.
like a fire engine.
No,
does it?
it's a Bedford, built just at the start of the war, but quite an unusual one because we're pretty certain there was only 10 of them built, and we're almost 100% certain this is the only survivor. Time has been my biggest problem.
Yeah.
But it would be nice with a team of 4 people on it. Everything would be done so much quicker.
What do you want it back together for?
I'd just love to see it all working again. The pump, the main pump on the back, has never worked since I've had it.
But it'd be good to get the pump going.
Yeah, it would.
Have a bit of a splash around.
Yeah.
Colin would like the squad to help him get the fire engine ready for the annual Coventry Winter Parade in just 10 days' time.
I think we need a new door.
You need a new door? Yeah. There's no flies on you, are there?
No, I'm telling you.
I think we're going to need to get it out of here to look around it properly. You can't look
Yeah.
around it,
Yeah,
it's a bit
no.
too small.
Come on, fingers crossed. Come on! No.
Oh, it doesn't sound like it's going to go.
Nothing. Nah, need it. Nah, knock it on the head. 1, 2, 3. Oh. 1, 2, 3. Why are these vehicles always uphill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get it to hospital?
Yes, I think it's a good idea. Let's get some work started.
Colin's fire engine was built as a bit of a rush job in the run-up to World War II. With the war looming, vehicle makers were obliged to come up with new models made from cheap materials, and Colin's engine is the result of a joint venture between vehicle makers Bedford and pump engine manufacturers Coventry Climax. And today she's the only one left. None of the 10 were built to stand the test of time, which makes her survival all the more remarkable. Colin doesn't actually own her, but 15 years ago she was given to him to look after by the Fire Services National Trust, a preservation society who had no room to store her themselves. And Collins arranged for the squad to do the work at the Trust's headquarters, based at a former military depot in Northamptonshire, where they housed their cramped but extensive collection of old fire engines. With Collins' engine in a workshop, it was time for the squad to give our plucky little survivor a thorough examination.
It's the messiest fire engine I've ever seen. Should we get some of the rubbish out?
Now you'd think, wouldn't you, that fire engines would be made out of metal, but no. Until recently, most fire engines were made out of wood. Not the most obvious choice of material, I would have thought. And Collins is no exception. The main body is constructed of timber and covered over with a thin metal skin. It's also one of the very first fire engines to be built with an enclosed cab. Until then, brigades merely sat on top, unprotected from the elements. Behind the cab is the very heart of the fire engine, the water pump. And if the fire engine's going to put out fires again, it's essential that the squad fix it. It's capable of pumping 500 gallons of water a minute. That's enough water charging through a hose to fill a bath in 2.5 seconds. This is how it works. Inside the pump is a 75 horsepower engine which powers the vacuum and pressure systems. The vacuum system sucks up water from an external source, a street hydrant or canal. The pressure system then forces the water out through the hoses at enough pressure to knock over a double-decker bus.
You know something, Claire?
Yeah?
All these parts fit modern-day fire engines.
Really?
Yeah. Standardised
Standard parts?
Yeah, standard forever and ever. So you can take anything got off here, put it on a new one, nearly.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Bad at
All
all.
those years. Ah, searchlight.
While Claire and Jerry cleared out the clutter, Colin took myself and Axel to have a bit of a snoop about the site.
What on earth are these?
The Fire Services Trust hopes to open a museum here, but for now their treasure trove of over 40 weird and wonderful fire engines dating back to the 1800s are packed tightly into just one building. Colin would like the squad to help him get the fire engine ready for the annual Coventry Winter Parade in just 10 days' time. But for now, their treasure trove of over 40 weird and wonderful fire engines are packed tightly into just one building.
This is wartime pump escape. That's the escape ladder on the back.
Yeah.
But this one's also a bit differently. It's got a front-mounted pump. You know, you see most fire engines with pumps at the back, or in the middle. It's got a front-mounted pump.
What's this one?
Come on, Axel, what's this?
What is it then,
It must be just
It's an AFS bikini unit.
property of the Home Office.
Yeah. They were actually built in case of nuclear war.
Oh, your bikini, that's yes.
Because they were actually inflatable rafts. Because water supply would be at a premium.
Yeah.
And they can actually go and get water.
All right. Then Axel came over all nostalgic on us.
Bring
Any memories back for you, Axel?
Yeah, training school. Because they used all these old ones at training school.
This is wartime colours.
This is because you know why they had it grey back then? Because everybody was a bit depressed. Because there was a war on. So they painted them all grey. And also, if you remember, all the films you saw, they were all in black and white.
That's true.
So they had to paint them grey. It wasn't actually in black and white back then. Everybody just was in grey.
Great.
Yeah, fine.
But of course, the real reason wartime fire engines were grey was because it was a cheap paint. Colin's engine is red because, as I was about to find out, it was a special commission.
I know it was built in 1939 and it was built to work in a factory at Solihull, Rover Aircraft Engine Factory. And it actually came out and joined the war effort for firefighting in basically the Coventry Blitz.
Are they still there, Rover?
Yes,
So if I go down there, I might find out a little bit more.
possibly.
Round one.
While I went off to Rover to find out how on earth a little factory engine could have fought fires in the Blitz, the squad got on with things. And first up was the little problem of her not being a runner.
Well, that could be something to do with it.
Jerry suspects that the fuel filter is blocked, which is why the engine doesn't work.
Oh, look at that.
That is really gummed up, isn't it?
Yeah. That should do that.
A thorough clean then, and it should flow freely again. Yep, the engine's got the thumbs up.
Happy with that?
Yeah. Good as gold.
Well, providing the other engine's as easy as that.
We'll be laughing.
Meanwhile, I was at Rover to try and uncover the circumstances behind our fire engine's alleged part in the Coventry Blitz. Today the site produces Land Rovers, but when Colin's engine worked here, the factory was secretly producing engines for World War II bombers. Sites like these were known as shadow factories. In anticipation of World War II, the British government constructed a series of these secret factories. They were vast fortified locations, some built deep underground. They increased war production and ensured continued supply should the main factories be destroyed in a raid. Rover were put in charge of running several of the factories when car manufacture was turned over to the war effort. Their Solihull site was heavily camouflaged, the remnants of which can still be seen on the walls today. Site fireman Richard Whitehouse told me more.
So this is what it looked like during the war. As you can see, all the buildings are sort of camouflaged to get away from air raids at night. One of the reasons it was so heavily camouflaged is it's only just down the road from what's now Birmingham Airport. Well, you're bombing one, probably bombing another sort of thing.
I'll be honest with you, though. I think that was just for morale. That's not going to fool anybody, is it, be fair? It's just like, do you know what I mean? What should we bomb? You're flying over as a Luftwaffe pilot. Shall I go for that field or that carefully painted factory?
The factory would have been a key target for the German bombers because it was building engines for British bombers.
Every cylinder goes through several pairs of skilled hands for stamping and drilling and tapping.
This is where the fire engine was based, our little fire station just there.
Just around, so just right
on
the outskirts here.
As far as I'm aware, it did actually go out into different areas of sort of the Blitz and WWII and assist on fires and such there. They actually had a direct hit one night which hit the fire station, and so I'm told it was hard to get the fire engine out to actually fight the fire.
Had to fire it from within.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was just
So Richard confirmed our engine's connection with the Coventry Blitz. The next part of my quest was to discover just how that could have happened to a factory fire engine from Solihull. It's day 2 of the restoration, and getting the lid off the water pump's engine has turned into a two-man job.
We might be able, if we take these ones out here, we might be able to just lift this up a bit to get in.
Yeah. It's a long time since I've seen what it looks like, so...
Oh, that's the answer to that.
Spot on.
Well done, Axel.
All right, mate.
Even the usually optimistic Jerry looks daunted.
Come on. It's part of our heritage, this is.
The Coventry Climax Company established itself in 1903, manufacturing specialist engines for small car companies like Triumph and Standard. Later on, they made a name for themselves producing high-performance engines for Formula 1 racing cars.
Surtees 1, second Graham Hill BR.
Because of their reputation as specialist engine makers, in 1938 Coventry Climax were commissioned by the government to produce powerful water pump engines for the fire service, and quickly became leaders in the field. So when it came to engines, Coventry Climax really knew their stuff. But does Jerry? He's about to encounter the first problem with the pump's engine.
Oh. No rotor arm. Bad news. There should be an arm on here that distributes the spark. And on the top of this here, there should be a metal mushroom.
The part Jerry is holding is known as the magneto. It's an old-fashioned generator. Inside it is a magnet which spins round next to wire coils. This creates a magnetic field which generates electricity. The part Jerry calls a metal mushroom is the vital conductor rod. It carries this electricity to a condenser, a kind of rechargeable battery, in the lid. At just the right time, the condenser sends a charge of electricity through the spinning rotor arm, which transfers it to a spark plug that in turn sparks up the engine.
No matter what happens to the electrical system on the vehicle, this keeps pumping, keeps making the sparks, keeps us running. The rest of it can be blown up. This will keep going because it's got its own electrical supply. Or in this case, it hasn't. Knickers.
So while Jerry gets his knickers in a twist, Axel's got the pants job of replacing all the rotten wood, which is no small task. Under the metal skin, all the bodywork on Colin's engine was constructed out of unseasoned green timber, some of which has rotted away over the years, and it's Axel's task to find and replace these pieces. And like all fire engines, Colin's is like a chest of drawers on wheels with 15 separate lockers to store over 2,000 feet of hose and firefighting equipment.
To make a door, put this over here like so. See, look, all coming from hands. And then you have one template for a door, as easy as that.
This window needs foul language and tools. There's a lot of sealant there.
Claire's got to take the windows out in one piece without cracking the glass, so that the panes can be used as templates for the new ones.
Oh. And in one piece. Bonus. I think we've already lost this one.
Yeah, but...
There's a little bit of surface rust, but not much in the way of water penetration on the top.
Just give it some, will you?
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. This is the problem with restoration, isn't it? It takes twice as long to take everything apart as to put it back together. think you may well have
A bit of gentle persuasion and...
just a tiny bit left behind.
Yeah. Jerry thinks he's come up with a way to fix part of the magneto. He's found the top of the broken metal mushroom, but not the stalk. He reckons if he can find a suitable screw to stand in for the stalk, he can solder them together to make a new one.
I mean, these are off the engine, aren't they?
Yeah, just solder the head on.
Yeah. Rather than muck around.
Good plan, Stan.
If I get this right, I'll have made a new electrode post for the magneto.
Result, a new metal mushroom.
Excellent.
So will it fit into the magneto?
Yes.
Jerry, you're muttering to yourself in hushed tones.
It works.
What does?
It's a magneto with a screw soldered into the mushroom cap, and then the screw screwed down into the terminal there to pick up the pickup.
So that's where the rotor arm sits. That's the bit, Second World War, take out the rotor arm when you go to the pubs, that the Germans can't land and steal your vehicle.
Yeah.
Cool. And are we missing our rotor arm?
We are.
So the necessary sparks won't fly until Jerry can replace that missing rotor arm.
I'm going to go and appropriate. I like to think of as borrow a rotor arm.
You don't borrow from the museums, Jerry.
Well, I'm going to borrow from the museum. I have got permission to borrow.
Meanwhile, I'd yet to really discover how our engine could have ended up at the Coventry Blitz. So I went to meet fire engine historian Phil Constantine at the Blitz exhibition at Coventry's British Road Transport Museum.
Well, Lee, this is a Coventry Climax fire pump, and it's similar to the one that's fitted to your fire engine. Coventry Climax were commissioned by the government at the outbreak of war, along with several other companies, to manufacture pumps, and their output was absolutely colossal. And they went on the backs of vehicles, some went on trailers. They did a tremendous job.
And this is a trailer, yeah? It's got like
this is a trailer unit, whereas yours is a fixed unit. Yours is known as a heavy pump unit, and it could have been used, or it would have been used for directly attacking fires or for relaying water over great distances. Without these sorts of things, probably we wouldn't have won the war.
On the evening of November 14th, 1940, 500 Luftwaffe bombers subjected the city of Coventry to the single most concentrated attack on Britain during World War II. The city became an unimaginable hell on earth. In retaliation for the RAF's bombing of Munich, Hitler ordered the Luftwaffe to target Coventry, Britain's major centre for war production, and burn it to the ground. For 11 hours solid, the German bombers dropped over 500 tons of high explosive and 30,000 incendiary bombs, creating a terrifying firestorm that enveloped the city. The heat and smell were said to be so great, it reached the cockpits of the planes thousands of feet above.
The concentration of factories that were in the city, I mean, this is just a small area of the city, and here there's 5, 6, 7, maybe more major factories, and lots of smaller ones too.
And what are these? These are railway lines?
Yeah, these are railway lines, and they run right through, and just about every single one runs into these factories. And November the 14th, it was a bright moonlit night, and the light would have shone off these railway lines, and then led the German aeroplanes straight into the factories. They were straight into their target.
From a height, they'd be able to see both railway lines like down there and there.
Down there, yeah. They all would have had a map.
Yeah.
Some of these aerial maps that they'd have taken earlier, and Gruppenführer, whatever his name was, he would have looked at his map and said, "Oh, this is the railway line I want." His buddy would have come down this way, and then just picked out the factory. And it's dead easy for
just
them.
framed out for them, isn't it?
A lot of it was incendiary bombs, which caused tremendous fires.
For that, I suppose you had to bring in a lot of fire engines.
Yeah, they came from all over. I've seen records where they came from places as far afield as Manchester, and I'm more or less certain that your vehicle came from the Solihull.
Are we just guessing on that because it was local, or...?
No, that there are records, or there has been records that vehicles were brought in and it's common practice that the nearest brigades supply first, that the next furthest brigades then bring vehicles into cover behind them, and it's a progressive thing. Somewhere as near as Solihull as from the rotor factory, they would have been there, they would have been in the thick of it. The guys that have been working in the factory, doing the ordinary engineering job, they'd get the call for the alarm, they'd get onto the fire engine, away they'd go, come to Coventry. They knew the way, it wasn't very far.
So they were just like volunteers, really, working?
But yeah, they did their everyday job, volunteers, and when the bells went, they got on the vehicle and went. In fact, I know a guy locally in Coventry who worked in a Coventry factory, did exactly the same thing. Reg Watkin, I can put him onto you.
If you could, and we'd love to have a chat with him as well.
Yes, it's no problem.
Excellent.
It's now day 4 of the restoration. While Claire waits for the new glass to arrive, she gets on with the cab's interior, and Axel has replaced a good deal of the rotten woodwork and is hanging the new doors.
I'm really enjoying this now. It's just because it's old, isn't it? It's fun.
How long were you in the fire brigade for?
12, 13 years.
How many cats did you rescue?
Well, 2 or 3 out of a wall, 1 from a door, 1 from a telegraph pole, and a couple up trees.
I had to ask.
But they all just got way out. I didn't give up.
Well, you just sprayed them off with a hose?
Yes. You never see dead cats in trees, ever. They come down, believe me. It's just fluffies who get stuck up there. I think they're winding up the owners, to be honest. They want attention.
This is a good project.
Very good project.
Well, that's all the windows out, and I've been given the responsibility of the cab to do. So, take a good look at it now. Horrible, filthy, looking slightly unloved. And I'm going to tackle it. It's lots of preparation, going to get a new coat of paint, replace all the door sills that have perished. I mean, it's fantastic rubber, but, you know, 50 years is a long time for any material. And it's just general loving in here, really.
Meanwhile, Colin's found a possible replacement for the missing rotor arm amongst the Trust collection of spare parts.
Hey, what do you reckon, Jerry?
Ah!
Hey.
That's what we want. There we go.
But will it fit?
The moment of the truth, Jerry.
Yeah, what do you reckon? Yep. Spot on.
Brilliant. You realise I want to hear this run in about 10 minutes now.
Jerry fixes a spark plug to the magneto. If it works correctly, it should spark up the plug.
Go on, mate. Wind like a man possessed.
To get the magneto going, Colin uses the crank handle. The crank, or starting handle, does the same job as the starter motor, only manually. It's connected to the crankshaft, which moves the engine's pistons and the magnet inside the magneto. As the handle is turned, it spins the magnet, which generates the electricity for the spark plugs. In the olden days, if your starter motor packed up, you turned the crank handle. Until Jerry and Colin can completely dismantle the pump's engine, they can't get at the starter motor to see if it's working. So now the quickest way to test the magneto is to do it with the crank handle.
Yes! Big fat blue one.
The magneto works. The spark plug fires out sparks.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I'm well pleased about that. Absolutely thrilled about that.
Happy now, Jerry, but fixing the magneto is just the tip of the iceberg. There's just 4 days to go before the fire engine's due at the Coventry parade, and Axel and Claire are in full makeover mode. But the brothers Grimm have a tougher time ahead with the engine. Only now can they see into the guts to find out which parts do and don't work.
Fuel, water, and give it a go. Sorted.
And traditional Jerry wants to see if she'll start up using the crank. The trouble with cranking in order to start up the engine is that it's a tiring slog. The handle must be turned fast enough to generate the high voltage the magneto needs in order to do this. But Jerry's lost his sense of humour. It's not looking good.
Lot of squissage.
We'll have the starter motor off. 30 years lack of use, I think it's shown its toll.
Yeah, I think it's entitled not to start first pull, actually.
Not only must they get the starter motor to work, they also need to examine and adjust the engine's timing. When the timing's right, the spark plugs, pistons and valves in the engine's ignition system operate in a timed sequence of moves to ignite the fuel and start up the engine. If the sequence is out of step, the ignition won't fire up.
Is that multiple holes? No, it's not.
The timing operation is dictated by a chain and a series of gears, and it's these that must be adjusted to ensure the engine works in sync. And to get the timing perfect is a long, boring job.
It's not fitting.
Meanwhile, Axel's got the relatively leisurely task of lining up the locks.
That goes through there.
Yeah.
So you ain't cut the hole in there right, have you?
Listen, if you get the last bit of wood, it was sunk in exactly like that.
Yeah.
Flush. Now you put that lock up to it, it won't fit, it won't marry up. Ah. Eh?
Make it fit.
Make it fit. Claire?
Yeah?
Can you give us a hand, please? Tilt the door and move towards you. That's it. OK, what we'll do is... Claire, you can get in there. Because I can just about out of my reach. I can reach it, but I can't see.
Well, I won't be able to see either, am I? Oh, if you knock the other bit up, I'm dead.
Right, you ready?
Yeah. The catch plate needs to go over.
Yeah, totally over.
Oi! I knew you would!
Jerry bench tests the starter motor.
Nothing wrong with that.
So she'll wind up, shall we?
With the timing adjusted and the starter motor working, they're able to ditch the crank handle. They've borrowed some jump leads from the neighbours to give the starter motor the initial jolt it needs to operate the magneto.
Superb.
It goes! It goes! Yes!
Jerry, it looked like your pants caught fire from there.
Oil pressure comes straight away. Great.
Hey!
Starter motor makes all the difference.
Doesn't it? Yeah, we could have cranked that for a month.
Yeah, yeah.
On the night of the Blitz, every pump unit in the county was called on to come and help deal with the devastating fires. I'd managed to track down Reg Watkins, who was working that night as a fireman in one of the city's factories. Now 95, he recalls the night.
What was it like on that night? It must have been pretty chaotic.
Well, yes, I mean, it was just gone 8 o'clock when I was told to go into the city, which I did with my crew, and I was told to go and report to Owen Owens. When we got to Owen Owens, I discovered that the flames were coming out of all the windows and the roof, and I said, well, we can't do anything here, that's far too late. Bombs were dropping all round us, but not immediately.
The raid's still going on?
Oh, God, yes, I'll say. As I stood in one particular spot, looking down Corporation Street, you could see the bombs of various sizes all dropping in the firelight or the moonlight. And then you heard the crunch, you see. Those that drop near tend to blow holes in the fire hose, which you replaced. When, of course, I'd no more hose to replace, I said to the lads, well, you carry on with your water squirting, and we went back to the factory, dodged the bomb holes here and there, and the tram lines sticking up in the air, all this kind of lot.
Yeah.
Of course, I knew I knew all the roads pretty well, of course, which if I couldn't go one way, I could go another.
I mean, were they drafting in fire engines from all over?
Yes, all round the area, you see. There was a lot of fires.
Do you reckon it's a good chance then that our fire engine that we're restoring may well have been there on the night?
I have no doubt whatsoever that that was employed somewhere, but and the Rover, if it was the Rover at that time, it would be sent into Coventry. Memories remain with you of that kind of thing forever. You never forget them.
The center of the city was utterly destroyed.
So clearly Reg thinks it inconceivable that Colin's engine didn't heed the call-up and do its bit in the blitz. So they've got the pump engine to splutter into life. But as it hasn't run for decades, Colin and Jerry want to turn it over outside to see if it will run continuously, which means lots of water for the engine's cooling system.
Jerry's supposed to go in the hole.
No, never could do that. You ready?
Yep.
As it gets going, it becomes pretty obvious they've got another problem. The engine's water cooling system has sprung a leak.
Right, we'll water leak all out, and then we can panel it all back up again.
Go back in and carry on some work.
No, I don't think we need that anymore.
So with less than 4 days to go, the engine might be running, but with a leak in its cooling system, it will dangerously overheat. It's day 7. The squad have got just 2 days left to finish off the restoration. The pump's becoming a headache for Jerry. Claire's got a long way to go with the cab, and Axel's still fitting the doors.
This is not going to square up.
Jerry thinks he's found the source of the leak, a rusty plate on the cooling tank.
Axel?
Yeah, mate. Gee, Nick. That is.
It's like the Grand Canyon, isn't it?
Seen this, Claire?
Yeah. It's great, isn't it?
I think it's fashioning new bit, don't you?
Jerry's made a new plate, and all he needs to do is fit it in place.
Ooh, yeah, it's all right, mate. I think that'll do, don't you?
Yep. Splendid.
The moment of truth. If it doesn't work now, they won't have a fire engine. Just a nicely painted truck. Their hard work's paid off. The engine's working and the dials show the pump's vacuum and pressure systems are functioning normally. So they've successfully brought the pump back from the dead.
I think that'll do for now. Yeah.
It's pretty much everything you want of a fire pump engine.
We should be able to fight fires with it.
That would be nice.
Meanwhile, Claire's given the cab a facelift and just needs to make and fit new door sills. Finally, they can put the pump back on the engine.
This end. It's got to go on that way.
Say again.
Yeah,
Say
here.
again. Where did you find this crane?
I don't know.
Told on the fire engine. Yeah?
It's a bit of a struggle until Axel lends a helping finger.
I've got it started for you.
Right. Well, we've gone off half an inch, Jerry.
My manicurist. Fit.
It's a precarious job as the engine weighs over a tonne.
OK.
Right, now let it down.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah,
cool.
We're on the lot. It's down.
But it's not quite over yet.
Axel, Jerry.
Yep.
Sorry, but there's some ladders to do.
Got to be done.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Lay down.
Go on.
In provincial fire brigades, ladder maintenance is reserved for punishment duty.
Here, punishment duty was doing the ladders.
But we haven't done anything bad.
Must have done, mate. We're on them.
The ladders on Collins' fire engine are of the old-fashioned hook variety, efficient in their day and able to reach high-up multi-storey buildings. And Colin was one of the last firefighters in his service to be trained to use such ladders before they were decommissioned in 1972. Two hours of gruelling sanding, and Axel and Jerry aren't even halfway through.
Hey, Axel. If we ever asked to restore a fire engine again...
Yeah, make sure we've got metal ladders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
big
no
time.
ladders.
This isn't bad. They're looking bloody good.
Just tedious.
The problems with the pump have put the squad way behind schedule. If they're to hit their deadline, they're going to have to work late into the night.
Come on, gentlemen, time's ticking on.
There's just one day to go. Claire's on the hose reels, and Axel's about to start on the trim. With the pump fixed, Jerry's refurbishing the handles.
Most excellent, Jerry. You're a man. You are the man.
One.
That's nice.
And I was on my way back to join them.
There we go in.
Hi, Lee.
All right, not bad, not bad. You all right, Colin?
Yeah, not bad, mate. What do you reckon?
She's looking very red, I would say. Have you all just piled in? More or less,
Claire done the cab.
Claire's gone on the cab.
Oh, let me
most of the cab.
Let me see what it...
I've chucked out the chins.
Chucked out the chins. Guide me around your...
My cushion away.
Let's go into your new home, shall we? You go first, and then I'll know it's dry.
All right.
So what have you actually... It does look a hell of a lot better.
Look.
Very impressive. Oh, that is good. Do that again. I want to go at that. Hang on. Oh, yes, that is borderline sad.
So when it all gets too much in here, it was just...
Just do it. Oh, there's been a lot of that going on.
Yeah, it's the new expletive.
The new expletive. Why don't you... off?
Pump's all running.
Have you squirted anything yet?
No, not yet.
That is a runner.
It's a runner.
You're happy with it?
Yeah.
You're positive it's going to do the job?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you why.
Go on.
Because I've been down to the lads at Rover, and I quite like the idea of the old girl going back there and going up against their more modern tender. That's the right word to use, isn't it?
Would lose.
Why would we lose?
High pressure side.
Yeah.
Look, my 75 horsepower fire pump.
See, Jerry's confident. Colin, he's confident. Axel, the cynical ex-fireman,
That's it.
he's not so confident.
No.
Well, let's get it finished then, and then we can go down there and take him on.
There was still work to do, and Colin had saved one of the toughest jobs for me.
All this masking tape needs to come off.
Yeah.
Just all these little bits.
All right.
All the way round.
Yep.
OK, mate.
Thank you for that very high-skilled technical job. My YTS days were not put to bad use.
Definitely not. Well, I've got to say, Lee, you're a bit slow with this masking tape.
There's one you'll never find.
One bit of masking tape.
There's one bit you'll never find.
Are you talking internals now as well? Because I was only told to do the externals. I know.
Lee, it's behind you.
It's behind you.
Lee, it's so hot, you probably need to take your jacket off.
Oh dear. Turn that off.
So back to business. With the handles in place, it was just a case of putting in the windows and fitting the flooring. While I was promoted to cleaning the windows, Axel was struggling with the seemingly easy job of fitting the metal trim. The new aluminium strips are very soft and bend easily. It's extremely difficult to get them to go on straight. The new aluminium strips are very soft and bend easily. It's extremely difficult to get them to go on straight.
Good job.
No good.
It's not good, is it?
No.
This job, that little top one, I can punch through easy enough. This job is beautiful, but should I go back with the flat ones?
You've got to, the trouble is, actually, you've got to be so bloody careful with it, because it is...
Colin, listen, Colin, if you can do it better, mate, be my guest, because I was hitting it on the nails. There's no way this top one fixing ain't going to have it.
Axel, if you don't want to do it, clear off.
Cool, sweet as. Go on then, mate.
Go.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Fine.
So Colin has a go, while Axel sulks outside. And it looks like Colin can't do it either.
Axel said you sent him out, so you got to ask him.
I didn't send him out. I just sent him away from this job. If he can't hack it, fine.
Now, I think that's not exactly a diplomatic tone, is it?
Perhaps not.
I'll go back with your... I feel like I'm going between my mum and dad having a row. He's accepted some responsibility.
Yeah.
Because he said you didn't want to do a job, and
No,
he asked
I
you
didn't say I didn't want to do it. I said, if you can do it better, Colin...
But did you not think that was a little bit...
No.
A little bit confrontational?
No.
Come and give us a hand with the windows. I'm asking you, as a friend...
I would like to, as your friend.
As a friend. There we go. Now, I feel we've got you to the front of the vehicle. Colin is working at the back. If we use the middle section as a demarcation line currently, I feel we can continue without confrontation.
I think so, yes.
Follow me, sir. Follow me. I'm not being horrible, Colin, but obviously I am. That is crap. Hello? Hello?
Hello. They are real pigs to get on.
Why is it all bendy?
Because it's so soft. Just, you know.
What's it made out of, aluminium?
Yeah, it's like licorice. Supposed to be
So Colin couldn't do any better, and he's discovered that the nails are spaced wrongly on the new trim too.
What?
That's supposed to be spaced the same?
No way. No. Can't we go back with the old strips?
Yep.
Old strips?
Yep.
Yep.
With everyone friends again, it was just a case of tidying up the paintwork.
You ready for Rover?
Yay!
Colin, you pleased with it?
I am extremely pleased with it. I'm over the moon.
I'll go and say that again.
Good man.
Keep
I'm
saying
extreme.
A restoration job like this would have taken Colin 2 years, but with the squad's help, it's taken just 9 days.
Just a small token of appreciation.
Oh, what a geezer. I'm sorry, mate, but how do you expect these people to function tomorrow?
I'll be all right.
I'll be a shampoo.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Well done.
Nice one, mate. Whoa.
It's the day of the parade. But first we have to make a little detour back to Solihull to go on a head-to-head firefight with Richard and the Rover fire crew. Richard's ready. The fires are lit. Jerry knows what he's doing. No, he doesn't. Now our engine will hopefully pump water for the first time in nearly 40 years and put out a fire quicker than the lads can.
During the blitz, this put the fire out in Coventry, so this should be a piece of pudding. Yeah, I'm relying on it. Right, well done.
And they're off. In the red corner, Rover. And in the other red corner, the squad.
That's it, go on! Go on, in you go! Pull rod!
I'll be honest with you, I wasn't sure who put which one out first. Because the slope.
We put ours out.
We put
and then we came up.
They'd only got theirs half out, and by which time Axel had got his on.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Got the woman in front to protect you.
Well, I think we better let them finish off over there, because we've got, well, we're late, actually. We've got to shoot off now. You're going to have to get dry. We've got to get to Coventry. We've got the parade. The parade. I'm not getting my clothes. You're going to have to get dried off. Have you got any spare clothing?
Well, I'll have to find something.
Even though it's back to your lap dancing days, Claire. So the old girl proved there's life in her yet, and all that remained was to show her off at the parade.